In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build and sell AI voice agents using Gemini 3 Pro. For those asking what is Gemini 3 Pro, it is the latest AI model capable of vibe coding, which allows you to build and deploy fully functional software apps just by driving in screenshots without writing a single line of code. Today, we're going to build a real client demo for a business, deploy it to Google Cloud for free, and I'll show you the exact strategy to sell it. So if you want to make passive income, gently tap the like and subscribe buttons and keep watching until the end, because I promise that this video will contain valuable information you won't find anywhere else. So what is Gemini 3 and why is it going to change your life forever? The easiest way I can explain this is Gemini 3 is an AI employee that is, number one, smarter than PhDs, meaning it's literally smarter than pretty much the top 100 people in any single subject, but it does this in every single subject at the same exact time, okay? And number two is it's absolutely free to use. And number three, it's absolutely unlimited, meaning you can have as many as you want. So basically what I'm trying to say here is if you're not already a CEO, and if you're not already using AI in every single part of your workflow, you need to start right now, because there's no better time than right now that you can literally just sit with your laptop in the corner of your room and literally create something that creates a ton of value for anybody all around the world, from anywhere in the world, and obviously in the process create a really nice income for yourself, right? So right now is one of the best times, and I would literally equate it to something like Bitcoin, right? If you missed the first or the second wave of Bitcoin, that's basically what we're here right now. Is this is the first time, in my opinion, that AI is actually better than people. Like with Gemini 2.5 Pro, I would say it's pretty much on par with people. Like, you know, anybody who's relatively good at their field, that's pretty much as good as it was. But Gemini 3 is just off the charts. I'll show you exactly how I use it later, but you'll be able to see exactly what I mean. Basically, if you don't start learning about this stuff right now, you're gonna wish that you started learning, because the thing is, it literally changes every few months. Right, 2 months from now, they're gonna release Gemini 3.5, Gemini 4, and what? If you never start learning, you're never gonna be able to basically make some value out of this, right? And so this is literally in my opinion, the tipping point for AI, right? You know, with AI, most people, they're like, okay, well, I don't trust AI. You know, AI is not going to be smart enough. You know, it's not going to be good enough, right? But in my opinion, this is that tipping point where right now it's literally going to be everybody's going to start using AI, because it's just absolutely incredible. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to show you how I use it personally in my industry, which is AI voice agents, to show you how I do things like create demos. Next thing is also decrease my deployment time by some like 92%, I think it is. And also create AI SaaS, right? AI vibe coding, basically how do you create something, create a website around it, do some marketing around it, and then basically create a program that millions of people can download, hopefully. And you know, you can make a lot of money off of that, obviously, right? And so I'm gonna show you exactly how to do this right now. So the first use case is going to be building a really nice demo really quickly for one of our new clients. So let's use Planet 13 as an example. One of my students actually created the AI voice agent for this, so I'm sure he'll be happy that I create the tutorial on this company. But basically, the way that we're going to do this is typically we'd have to basically set everything up in Vapi and N8N, which usually takes about 20 minutes. But doing this way, it's a lot easier, and it takes probably around 5 minutes to do. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. So basically, the way that we do this is we're going to need to get some information and then pass it into Gemini over here, so that you can basically go ahead and vibe code. Basically means it's going to do all the coding for you to create a website that you can then send over to a client. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to need to write a prompt, say, okay, well, describe your idea, you know, build me a demo, blah, 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 right? And also I'm going to show you exactly how I do it, which is basically by adding some files so that the Gemini actually knows exactly, you know, how to do it the best way possible, right? So first, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here, and then we're going to go ahead and take a screenshot so that we're going to have this to be able to pass in. And then we're also going to take a screenshot of Gemini over here, because we're actually just going to use Gemini itself to write the prompt to Gemini. Like, how crazy is that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create a new tab. And as you can see, this is actually my home page now, which is pretty cool. But basically, go ahead and change the temperature to 0.4. Temperature just means how crazy the results are going to be. I found that 0.4 works the best, so that's what I'm going to use. And here, what it's going to do is we need to write like a pretty basic prompt just to tell it what we're going to do. And then, you know, it's going to do it for us. So I'm just going to paste it right here. It's going to say, the goal is for you to write me an optimal prompt creating a demo for Planet 13 that I would use to create a nice landing page demo for an AI voice agent for Planet 13, blah, 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 right? It's pretty simple to do. Just you know, write some English to talk to it. And then after that, I'm going to go over to my desktop, and I'm actually going to drop in the 2 screenshots that I just took over here, so that Google AI is going to basically read these files and it's going to know how to write that prompt, right? So once I basically dropped all that in, I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and it's basically going to read all the information and then write me basically what I told it to do, which is write me an optimal prompt, creating that demo, right? So it's just going to take a couple seconds to think.
A few moments later.
All right, so here it goes. It's saying that here is your optimal prompt to paste into the describe your idea, right? So as you can see, it literally watched exactly what I need to do, and it's going to give me exactly what I need. So the prompt to copy and paste, I'm not even going to read it because I know it's perfect. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit copy to clipboard. And now I'm going to go back over to here, Google AI Studio, and I'm going to hit Control V to paste it in. And I'm also going to go over to the add files button here, and basically drop it in, right? So instead of doing that, I'm just going to go back over to here and I'm going to drop in the screenshot of Planet 13. So that again, here, it's basically going to visit that website and it's going to read it. So it's going to know exactly how to do it and create a website that's pretty similar. But so that when I send it to my client, then they'll recognize it immediately. They'll be like, wow, you literally rebuilt my website and you literally created a new AI voice for me. It is absolutely amazing. And I want to work with you, right? That's the kind of reaction that we want. So once you've done that, all you need to do next is hit build. And it's basically going to take all the information and it's going to work and it's going to create it, right? So this usually takes about 3 to 10 minutes. So what I usually do is just, whenever I don't have anything going on, just let it run and maybe like go take a shower or do a workout or something like that. By the time you come back, be all good to go. So let's just go ahead and wait for it to finish. Alrighty, so after just 99 seconds, it was able to create this beautiful demo. Now, as you can see, it's not the exact same as this, which is absolutely fine because this is obviously proprietary information. The goal here is, remember, we're creating a demo, and the point of the demo is to convert a client so that the client works with us and not with our competitor. So as long as our website is better than our competitor's demo, then we're obviously going to get the job, obviously, right? And so as you can see, it provides a lot of context, which shows that we, put a lot of effort, theoretically into this website. They don't know that we're doing this using vibe coding in 2 minutes, but that it doesn't matter, right? What matters is that they're going to hire us at the end of the day, right? So as you can see, we have a nice microphone here, and I'm guessing it's basically like an FAQ specialist. I'm guessing you would just answer some questions, and I'll be able to fetch all the information from the website in order to be like a AI concierge or like a customer service representative, right? So let's go ahead and test it out. It says tap to initialize. Hey, what's going on? How you doing today?
Welcome to Planet 13. How can I assist you with your cannabis journey?
Wow, that voice sounds really nice, right? So, okay, so I just want to ask, what kind of business do you guys even do?
Planet 13 is the world's largest cannabis dispensary, offering a wide selection of products.
Sure, what do you guys sell?
We offer a variety of options, including flower, edibles, and vapes.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. So as you can see, that was my first time testing that, and that worked absolutely beautifully. So basically, I'm guessing it gives information about delivery, whatever, right? You can ask it whatever you want, and it just gets all the information from here. So there's no reason why, this shouldn't be like a really, really good demo, for you to show like a client. Like, just if you're a business owner and if you were to see something like this created for your business, let me know what you think in the comments. Just, would you be happy seeing a demo like this? And would you feel like you would need one of this to basically bring your company to the next level? And the crazy thing about this is it's not expensive at all to build. If it creates a lot of ROI, in this case, it's just like an FAQ, which is, not as valuable as something like a AI receptionist or like a, outbound cold caller. But either way, right? The point is we're going to be using AI voice agents in every single way possible because it's just so easy to do right at this moment in time. All right, so all that there's left to do is basically get this on a public URL so that we can send it to our client and that client can basically visit it and check out the demo for themselves, right? So how are we going to do that? Well, there's a really easy way to do it. And it's much easier than doing something like trying to download it and like telling them to, basically, go to this website and then, put the code into here. That's not going to work, right? Also, if you do it using GitHub, you're going to need to put it on your own backend and also move the API keys to the backend. It's a lot riskier. It's a lot more technically complicated. So I don't recommend that. I recommend using this. It's called Deploy App. it basically puts it onto the Google Cloud, which is managed by Google. So you don't have to do anything with your API key, and it's free to do. Right? We're not using anything crazy over here. It's usually going to be included in the free tier, and even if somehow you go over that, it literally costs basically nothing. So there's no reason why you would not want to do it this way. So go ahead and select a cloud project. If you don't already have a project, you can just go ahead and click create project and you just name it whatever you want, like just name your project. But I'm going to use this one right here, my project. Yep. And then it's going to say you must enable billing for this project to proceed. And we're just going to hit set up billing, right? So the thing about this is, again, like I was saying, there's no automatic charges. You will only start paying if you decide to activate a full pay-as-you-go Google Cloud account. Okay. So this is basically just them trying to get you in the door, right? Once you start building on their platform, that basically means that you're probably going to continue building, and that's how they basically get new clients, right? So, but for what we're doing, it's not going to cost us anything. So just go ahead and fill this out, and we're going to set it up. So agree and continue. All right, so once you've done the setup, you're going to see something that looks like this. And also, one thing that I didn't mention is that once you put in your information, it's going to say something like a $10 prepayment or something like that. Actually, if you don't want to pay that, you can just hit refresh and it's not going to charge you. But again, it's only like a $10 prepayment. And also, so you can just use it for however many years. But if once you're done with the project, you can get it back by closing the account, so it's no problem at all. Okay, so. Once you basically pass that part, then you can go back over to Google AI Studio. Then we can go back over to the deploy app button. And then we're going to select our project one more time. This time, since we've added our billing information, we can go ahead and hit deploy. And that's going to basically create for us. So let's go ahead and do that. And then it's going to build the project. And it's going to give us a public URL. So let's go ahead and wait for that to finish. All right, so there you go. It says app successfully deployed to Google Cloud. That took about 60 seconds, which is usually about how long it takes, which is pretty much nothing. So that's absolutely amazing. As you can see, you can now view your your application UI and customize it at this URL. So we can basically go ahead and click on this, and it's going to go ahead and pop up our website just like that, beautiful and ready to use. So that is number one, how to create a smooth, beautiful, amazing working demo for your client that'll make you have a much higher chance of getting that client. And also, it only takes about 5 minutes to do once you get the hang of it. So that's absolutely amazing. Now, if you need help with prompt engineering or AI voice agents, just go to my school community and create a post real quick right here. I'll make sure you get the help that you need. Now, in my next video, I'm going to show you how to actually deploy the AI voice agent once you've landed the client. And I'm going to show you how to do that using Gemini 3. Just do it in just 5 minutes, just simple as like I showed you in this video. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for the next video. All right, have a great one. So now that we've secured the client, the next thing we need to do is actually build out the AI voice agent and deploy it for our client, right? So in order to do that, I have a bunch of tutorials on this, but this is just one of the many ones. And I'm not going to go over the entire thing. If you want to watch the video, I'm going to link to it, but I'm just going to glance over it real quick. So we've already done the full demo part. This is what we're going to show to our client in order to basically get them to sign a contract with us. Once they've done that, in order to actually deploy it, we're going to need to build two things. Number one is an AI voice agent. We typically do this using a platform such as called Vapi or Retail. It just makes it a lot easier for us to just not use any code, just put in some English, put in some assistant prompts in order to make it work really quickly. That usually takes about a day or two. Okay. And then after that, we're going to need to do something called an automated workflow. That's on the back end. You use platforms like N8N or Make to do that. I typically teach things like Vapi and N8N. But all you need to know for this is it takes about a day or two or sometimes 3 days to set this up for a client, even if you're experienced, right? And if you're not experienced, it might take like a week or maybe even a month. But the point I'm telling you this right now is that with Gemini 3, you can actually do all this in just 5 minutes. And I'm going to show you exactly how. But before we get into that, we're gonna need to do like a smaller class on basically how AI works, how AI learns, and how it actually gives you the results that it does. So basically, we're gonna say what is the fastest way to learn something, right? Because actually, an AI basically works exactly the same way as a human does, right? We have a lot of experiences, we have a lot of I guess we learn a lot of knowledge throughout our lives, and it basically puts some information in somewhere in your brain, right? AI works the same way. It has a lot of information somewhere in the brain. It just connects different pieces, and that's how it comes up with the next word in order to create like a coherent sentence that actually makes sense, right? So basically, there are two ways to learn. Number one is explaining something, right? I could go on explaining to you for days about like what the rules are for example, like a drinking game, but it'd be really hard for you to understand unless I do number two, which is give you an example, right? Why do we do test runs? Why do we do trial runs? Why do we do practice runs, right? It's so much easier if you just watch it and you just you just see the patterns for yourself. It makes it so much easier to learn, right? So the same thing happens to AI. Is the best way to get AI to do exactly what you want is not by telling it what you want it to do, right? If you tell it what you want it to do, it might have a completely different interpretation and it might create something that you're not really looking for, right? But on the other hand, if you give it a working example, something that you know works for a fact, then all you need to do is say, okay, well, here is something that I know works for a fact. All I need for you to do is make slight changes to adapt it to whatever custom workflow that you're doing, right? And so in the case of this, the point that I'm telling you this is we need to start with something that we know for a fact does exactly what we need to do. Then we put that into Gemini 3 along with a little prompt saying, okay, well, adapt this to my new client use case, right? So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. First thing that we need to do is we need to go over to my school community because this is basically where I have all those templates. I've been doing AI for years, and this is why I'm so good at things like prompt engineering. I write all of my prompts manually because that's what I'm good at doing. But basically, I forgot to tell you. By the way, you could just go over here if you want to search for like a certain template to use. I'm just going to use this for an example. It's pretty good. Go ahead and copy the title. Go back to the school community. Links in the description, by the way, if you're not already part of the community. Go to search and then paste it into search. Click enter. And there it is. It's going to pop up right here. Go ahead and click into that. And then this is where all the files are. What we're looking for here is we're looking for the Vapi assistant prompt, right? Because that assistant prompt is what is going to be controlling the FAQ agent that we're actually going to put on this website. So we're going to look for a file called, I think it's called, correct. It's going to be called assistant prompt real estate.json. So go ahead and click on that, hit download. All right, we're going to copy it into our downloads folder. That's perfect. And by the way, you can do this for N8N as well. So the file for N8N is called appointment setter real estate JSON, and you can just download that. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is if you try to do this for in the past with Gemini 2.5 Pro, so right now, as you can see, I'm using Gemini 3 Pro. If you try using it doing Gemini 2.5 Pro, a lot of times it wouldn't actually work because Gemini 2.5 Pro is not smart enough to actually give you what it needs. But now it's actually smart enough, which is why this method actually works. And I'm going to show you exactly. So basically, go to AI Studio once you've downloaded that file, and then we're going to write a prompt that looks something like this. We're going to give it the URL so that it's able to actually research that URL. By the way, you need to change the temperature to 0.4, and you also need to enable URL context and enable grounding with Google Search. That basically allows it to have the ability to search that URL for the information that you need. Okay. After that, I wrote just a really nice prompt. Obviously, you can design your own prompts, but this is just something that I just threw together really quickly that I know for sure works. Analyze this website to get all the information about the company, then analyze the attached assistant prompt line by line to understand the assistant prompt. And then, like I said earlier, this is the important part, okay? Adapt the example assistant prompt to create the perfect assistant prompt for an FAQ AI voice agent, right? Because as you can see over here, that's what we're creating, right? We're creating an FAQ AI voice agent for Planet 13. We're making sure we create all the context that the AI needs in order to give us the correct output. So, okay, going back over to here. Now, all that we need to do now is basically give it the assistant prompt. So just to recap, I know it might be confusing, but what we're doing here is we're doing something called context engineering. We're giving it the context that it needs to give us the output that we're looking for. We're giving it one, the URL to the website. Number two, we're giving it the assistant prompt. So I'm going to do that right now. Go to Finder and then go ahead and take this file that we just downloaded and then drop it in. So make sure that you click and drag and drop over here. There it is. You can see it can load it up. So that's number two is the assistant prompt. And then number three, you need to tell it what it needs to give you. So in this case, we're telling it to adapt all this information in order to give us the perfect assistant prompt for an FAQ AI voice agent. So I just gave all of the context that it needs to create the results that I want. So all you're going to do now is hit run, and it's going to be able to do that for you, okay? And obviously, once you see the output, it's just going to give you an assistant prompt. And as you know already from watching the tutorials, all you need to do is basically copy that and then paste it into the Vapi assistant prompt. I'm sure you guys all know how to do that. So we're just going to wait real quick to see what it gives us. All right, so it finished in just 27 seconds, which is absolutely crazy. All the other models would have taken like 90 seconds or something like this. So that's literally 3 times faster. And here's what it said, okay? We have adapted the perfect assistant prompt with the Planet 13 FAQ and Concierge AI agent, okay? And so yeah, it gave 24/7 hours, shuttle policies, all that. So basically all we're going to do is we're going to copy this and put this into our assistant prompt in Vapi, and voila, that's how you do it in just 5 minutes. This is how you cut down your development time from a couple days to just 10 minutes or whatever it is, right? So that's absolutely amazing. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to vibe code super cool conversational AI voice agents like this one in just 5 minutes with Gemini 3. So if you're not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure you go to my school community and go ahead and post a question here real quick. And I'll make sure you get all the help that you need. All right. I built this real estate AI agent that automatically qualifies leads and books appointments like this straight into your calendar 24/7. An AI agent like this is easily worth over $1,000 a month to real estate agents and realtors. Let's go ahead and watch a quick demo on how exactly it did this.
Thank you for calling Apex Realty. This is Brenda. How may I help you? I can certainly help with that. Make sure I get you the right information. Are you looking to buy a property, sell a property, or both? Perfect. And just for our record, are you currently under a signed agreement with another real estate agent? Okay, Anthony, just to confirm, I have you down for a free consultation on Thursday, August 7th at 9 a.m. Is that all correct? Excellent. The appointment is confirmed, and a text message with the details have been sent. An agent will be in touch. Goodbye.
I'm Anthony, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the step-by-step on how to build this AI agent from scratch. You can get started for free using the links in the description. Let's get started. So the 3 steps that we're going to use today are, first of all, we're going to need to build the AI voice agent. Second, we're going to need to develop the automated workflow. And 3, we're going to do a quick demo to show exactly how it all works. Starting with number 1, AI voice agent. To do that, we're going to go to a website called Vapi.ai. This platform is basically the number 1 platform for developing AI voice agents. So go ahead and go here and click on sign up. Once you've done that, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. And as of right now, we don't have any assistants, so we're going to go ahead and get that set up. So go over here and click on assistants. And we're going to go ahead and create our first assistant. So click on this. All right. And we're going to name it Real Estate AI Agent. Okay. So go here and click Create Assistant. Perfect. So now this is what it's going to look like when you create your first assistant. And all we need to do now is go through some steps to get it all set up. So the provider that we'll use is OpenAI. That's perfect. The model that we'll use is GPT 4.1 mini. Now, the reason why I prefer this model is because it's very balanced. It can handle the instructions well, but it's not also too slow, because some of the models will be just too slow and it's not going to sound realistic anymore. So 4.1 mini is perfect. The next thing to do is set the first message mode. So right now it's set to assistant speaks first. That basically means that when somebody calls your number, the assistant's going to say, hello, how may I help you? Or whatever it is. And they're going to talk first. Okay. Now, next, we're going to fill out the first message. This basically means as soon as the agent picks up the phone, what is the first thing that they're going to say? So it can be something as simple as, hello, how may I help you? Okay. Next, we're going to do the system prompt. And what the system prompt is basically the instructions that the AI agent will use to do whatever that it is that it needs to do. So for example, here we could just say, you are a helpful AI receptionist for Apex Realty. Okay. But again, for this, you want to give it instructions that are as specific as possible. So it does take a long time to test, but I do recommend that you play around with it to see what works. Okay. But for me personally, since I've already spent hundreds of hours developing this, I'm going to get it straight from my community. So in my school community, I have all of this information, Vapi prompts, init templates, and all that stuff. So I'm just going to click on one of these and then download the file and use it. So I've already downloaded them. So I'm going to go over here, go to downloads, and then I'm going to open up the file called, let's see, first message realestate.json. Okay. Now that I have it, click Control A, Control C to copy, go back over to Vapi, go to first message, Control A, Control V. Perfect, that's done. So Also, make sure you hit publish every once in a while. Just make sure that it saves and you don't lose your progress. Okay. So same thing for system prompt. If I just use this, it's not going to know exactly what to do. So I need to tell it very precisely what I need to do. So go ahead and go over here, double click on the assistant prompt real estate.json. It's going to give you all the instructions. So Control A, Control C. Okay. Control A, Control V. That's done. Hit publish to save. Cool. I won't get too much into the detail here. It just takes a lot of testing to make sure that it does exactly what you need it to do. Okay. Now for the temperature, always set it to 0.4 because, like I said, through hundreds of hours of testing, that's the best. For the voice configuration, you can use whatever you want. Personally, I like to use something called Deepgram, just because the voice is really nice. So let's see, go here and then hit this. Okay. Again, you can test this and choose whatever voice that you want. Perfect. Now, finally, the last thing to do is set up the tools. Okay. So what are tools? Tools are basically tools that we give to the AI agent that allow it to do specialized actions. In this case, we're going to need it to do things like qualify the lead, checking the availability of the Google Calendar, and also booking the appointment. So in this case, we're going to use 3 different tools. And later, when you get more advanced, you might use like 5 or 10 different tools, but we'll keep it really simple today. So make sure we click on publish just to make sure that it saves before we go ahead and create that tool. Okay. Now go over here to the left, click on tools. And then we're going to go up here and click on create tool. The tool that we're going to use today is a custom tool because we're going to build it from scratch. So custom tool. Now the first one we're going to build is called check availability. Okay. So type in check availability. Now we're going to need to give it the parameters. Now, what are the parameters? The parameters basically tell the tool what exact information that it needs to collect. So for example, it's going to need things like the name or phone number, things like that. Okay. Now it does take a really long time to develop this as well. So what I would do is just go to Visual Editor and just click on this. Now this is going to allow you to paste in the code that automatically finishes it for you. So I'm just going to go over to the files that I downloaded, click on check availability.json. That'll open it up for me. So Control A, Control C, if I go over here, Control V, and paste it in. So as you can see, basically what it's saying is that what we need to collect here is we need to collect an initial search date and time. So this is telling the agent that it needs to find and listen for the time that the client is saying that they want to book an appointment. Okay. So click apply and then save to save that. Okay. Perfect. So moving on to the next tool, click on create tool, custom tool. This one's going to be called book appointment. Book appointment. Now remember, the name actually matters, so make sure it's typed in exactly how I'm showing you here. Okay. Now, parameters here, same thing. We're going to need to tell it exactly what it needs. So I'm going to go over here and make it easy. Double click on book appointment. Control A, Control C. Click on Visual Editor, and then Control V. Apply. Okay. And also, if you want to see this using no code, you can actually click on this one more time, and then it'll actually show you exactly what it's collecting. So it's collecting a client name, an end date and time, and a start date and time. And so this is the information that it needs in order to book that appointment. Okay. So go ahead and click save to make sure it saves, and perfect, it's saved. So the last thing we're going to need to do is create a tool called qualify the lead. Okay. So create tool, custom tool. The tool is going to be called qualify lead. Perfect. And same thing, parameters, click on Visual Editor and get the code. So it's going to be called qualify lead real estate. Okay. Control A, Control C, Control V. Apply. Now, as you can see, it's getting pretty long, pretty fast. So you really want to save that time and get it from my school community. So, okay. So here it's asking for a transaction type, whether the client is going to be a buyer or a seller. Timeline, so how soon are they trying to buy or sell? If it's 2 years from now, we don't want to work with them because that's just too long. And if they're working with an agent already, we're just going to decline them because that's a waste of time, right? So this is very important when trying to save time with your AI agent. So now that that's done, click on save. Perfect. So now that the tools are done and created, we can actually go back to our assistant and give that to them. So slide back over to assistants. Now slide down to find the tool section. Click on tools, click on select tools, and then go ahead and click on the tools that we just created. So qualify the lead, book the appointment, and check the availability. So as you can see, it's all populated down here. Now we'll just go ahead and click publish, and our assistant is 100% done. Okay. Now the last thing that we need to do here is go over to phone numbers, because we need to give it a phone number that it'll answer calls at. Okay. So click on phone numbers. We don't have any created yet, so go ahead and click on create phone number. Now here, you can actually create up to 10 per account for absolutely free. So don't have to worry about paying for anything. So it doesn't really matter what the area code is. We just need a number. So it says 346. So I'll go ahead and try that. Sure. Click on create. This area code is currently not available. Try one of these. So I'll try 631. That's fine. Create. Perfect. So it automatically created for me. The number is right here. And that's basically the number that I will need to call later in order to test it out. And it'll be the number that when you give it to your clients, that they'll be able to put on their website and things like that for using this agent. Okay. So the phone number label will just be real estate AI agent. Perfect. All that can stay the same. And the last thing we need to do is click on assistant and click on the agent that we're going to assign to this phone number. So that's just going to be real estate AI agent because we just built that. Okay. Now that is done, all it's left to do is hit save, and it's done. So that is officially the end of setting up the AI voice agent. Now, as I said earlier, step 2 is building the automated workflow. So what do we need to do for that? We need to go to a website called N8N. Okay. Now, again, links in the description so you can find that real easy. So go ahead and click get started for free. Once you've done that, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. It's going to be completely empty. We're going to need to build it out. So now you can build this out manually by hitting add first step, and choosing all of these. Again, it takes hundreds of hours to learn and do all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide over here, click on these 3 dots, then click on import from file. And then I'm going to click on the template that I have built for you guys. So let's see, it's going to be called appointment setter real estate.json. Go ahead and click open. And there it is. It's all done. So as you can see, it's going to start with the Vapi webhook, and it's going to go through here, and it's going to basically route based on the name of the tool. And then, so based on the name of the tool, it's going to do each of these 3 things. Okay. So if this is the first time you're seeing this, this is basically a no code workflow automation builder. You just build these nodes and then you link them together, and then it goes from left to right, inputs, output, and it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. So now, once you set this up, the first thing that we need to do is actually connect the N8N workflow with the Vapi tool that we created. So the way that we do that is by using a webhook. A webhook is basically something that listens on a URL for any data that's passed over on that URL. So double click on this first one, click on the production URL. Production URL basically means that once we set the workflow to active, then it's going to be constantly listening for information, and it's not just for testing. Okay. So this is our URL. So make sure to click this a couple of times, make sure we get that copied, and then go back over to Vapi. And we just need to pass this in over to the tools that we created. So go ahead and click on tools. Now for each of the tools that we created, we'll slide down to the server URL and then paste that in. Okay. So it's going to look just like that. Hit save. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that everybody's server URL is different. So this is going to be mine because this is what I'm using for my website, but yours is going to be different, and that's completely normal. And that's exactly what you want. Otherwise, everybody's going to be sending data on the same URL and it's going to get really messy. Okay. So you're going to have to paste in your unique URL. Okay. Now go over to the second tool, paste this, hit save. That's done. Last tool, go down here, server URL, paste, hit save. Okay. So this is officially completely done, including the tools and hooking it up with N8N. Okay. So now we can go back over to N8N and finish filling this out. So this is also really quick because it only takes 3 steps. It's going to be filling out this, number 1, number 2, filling out the Google Calendar, and number 3, filling out this Google Calendar. So it's really quick. Now, the next thing we're going to do is set the variables for this workflow. So double click here, and here you're basically just going to put simple information like your name, your business name, the service that you provide, your time zone, things like that. So I'm just going to set the time zone real quick. Okay, done. Again, it's just nice to hit save every once in a while to make sure that you don't lose your progress. So the next thing that's going to happen is it's going to route the tool based on the name. So let's say, for example, I make a call and then I'm asking the agent to use a tool called check availability. In the case that it uses the check availability tool, it's going to redirect the workflow over here. And then it's going to work in this code node, which I wrote. It's pretty complicated. And I'm not going to try to explain it, but basically it's going to try to calculate the slots that are available. Okay. And then it's going to go into the Google Calendar in order to get those slots to see which is available. So let's go ahead and set this up real quick. Double click on this. So here you're going to need to set up your credential if you haven't already. So you're going to click on create new credential. It does take about 3 minutes to get this set up. I'm going to link to my video where I can show you how to set that up completely. Okay, so once you've done that, go to calendar. The mode is going to be from the list. And then for here, the calendar is just going to be your calendar. So since I have all my events in this calendar, this is going to be the calendar that I select. Okay, now that is done. And as I said earlier, it's going to run through some more code. I'll just show you that real quick. It basically looks like this, and it's going to do some math in order to calculate what exactly are the open slots. And finally, it's going to use a webhook to send data back to the AI agent so that it knows exactly what those available slots are. Okay. Now, after that is done, the client's going to say, well, I want to book an appointment now. Okay. So then it's going to use the book appointment tool. And then once it realizes that it's the book appointment tool, it's going to send the workflow down here. And basically what that means is it's going to try to book the appointment into that Google Calendar. So let's go ahead and set that up real quick. Double click on this. Same thing here, set your credential that you just built. And then go to calendar from the list and select your calendar. Same exact thing. Just choose your calendar and it's done. And real quick for this one, it's a little bit different because it's going to create the event in the calendar. And in order to do that, we want to pass it some information such as the name, the phone number, qualification details, etc. So once you get more advanced, you can try to change this yourself. But for now, I'll just leave that. Okay, cool. And then it's going to respond to the AI agent that it was booked properly and it's done. So now one thing is that this is actually a really simple implementation of this AI agent. There's a lot of different things that you can do. For example, you could make it send an SMS confirmation after it books the appointment. You can also make it answer frequently asked questions like, what time do you close? What time do you open? Are you open on July 4th? Things like that. You can also make it transfer calls to humans, reschedule appointments, speak every language, machine learning, all of this stuff. It's pretty advanced. And I teach all of this in my school community. So if you're interested in learning that, make sure you join at this link right here. Okay. Awesome. So now all is left to do is hit save. And then we need to turn on the workflow to make sure that it's active. And basically what that means is that now it's actively listening for information. So if I were to go ahead and call that phone number and I were to talk to it and I were to say things like, okay, well, check the availability and then book the appointment for me, then it's going to be able to send that data and it's going to end up here and it's going to be able to route that information and run the workflow. So let's go ahead and test it actually right now and see how it works. So we're going to go back over here to look at the phone number so I know what number to call. So click on phone numbers and I'm just going to call that phone number. Now remember, this is my phone number. I'm going to delete it after this. But for you guys, when you set this up, you're going to get a unique phone number and that's going to be the phone number that you call.
Thank you for calling Apex Realty. This is Brenda. How may I help you?
I want to buy a property.
I can certainly help with that. Make sure I get you the right information. Are you looking to buy a property, sell a property, or both?
I'm only looking to buy a property.
Excellent. To help us find the perfect homes in your price range, have you already been pre-approved for a mortgage?
Yes.
Okay, and what is your ideal timeline for moving into a new home?
3 months.
Perfect. And just for our records, are you currently under a signed agreement with another real estate agent?
No.
Perfect. Thank you for that information. Based on that, the best next step is to schedule a free, no obligation consultation with one of our licensed agents. Is that something you'd be open to?
Yes.
Excellent. Which day and time would work best for you to speak with an agent?
What slots do you have available on Thursday?
On Thursday, August 7th, I have available slots at 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m., 2 p.m., 4:30 p.m., and 5 p.m. Would any of those times work for you?
Yeah, could we do 9 a.m. on Thursday?
Great, I can book that for you. And what is the full name?
My name is Anthony.
Okay, Anthony, just to confirm, I have you down for a free consultation on Thursday, August 7th at 9 a.m. Is that all correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. The appointment is confirmed, and a text message with the details has been sent. An agent will be in touch. Goodbye.
All right, and there it is. It's all done. It was able to create it automatically into the calendar. And so now you just watched me build a $1,000 a month AI agent for the real estate niche. Now, if you want all of this information, you can go to my school community, link in the description, where you can find all of my proven Vapi prompts, my end-to-end templates, and you can even go over here to the one-on-one support tab, where you can ask any question that you want, and I'll help you to build your workflow and build your agents. So now, if you enjoyed that, make sure to subscribe for more tutorials, and I will see you in the next one. So first of all, what is an AI contract and why is it important? Well, basically, it's an agreement between you and the client for the delivery of services. And why is it important? It's important because it's going to protect you from legal issues, overworking, and not getting paid. And this is obviously really important because just a really quick example is, let's say you're in the business of cutting down trees and you quoted somebody $2,000 for cutting down their tree. And then you go ahead and you go to their place and you cut down their tree, you take care of everything, and you go ahead and knock on the door. And they come out to the door and they're like, hey, I don't have the money. I can't pay you right now. And there's literally nothing you can do about it because you didn't sign a contract. So obviously it's really important that you sign a contract. And I'm going to walk you through step by step my exact template. And by the end of the video, I'm going to give you that exact template so that you have it for your business. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. All right, so here's the master document. Of course, you can customize this for your use case specifically, but really quickly, I am not a lawyer and this document does not constitute legal advice. This template is provided for educational and information purposes only, based on my personal experience running an agency. Laws regarding AI, telecommunications, and contracts vary by country and state. You should strictly consult with a qualified attorney in your jurisdiction to review and customize this document before sending it to a client. Use at your own risk. All right, we all understand that. So basically, the point of this service agreement is to go through a couple of different, I guess you would call this clauses, right? In this one, I have 9, but they're pretty simple. I'm going to go through them step by step. Number 1, this is basically saying, okay, well, who are the two parties that are involved in this agreement? And it's just going to be your agency, which is the provider, and the other company, the client, which is going to be called client, and then you just change the date, right? So basically anything that I basically put into like a template, you just go ahead and update it. In these brackets, just go ahead and change it to whatever your date is, whatever your agency name is. You guys know what I'm talking about. All right, number 2, scope of work. This is probably the most important part in my opinion, because this is going to be really important for not only for you to be really clear on what you're doing, but also really clear on what you're not going to do. Because a lot of times, like when you jump into a contract with a client, they're going to have this like fantasy of what they're dreaming of building. But the thing is, you as an engineer, it's your job to be able to know what is actually capable of happening and what you're capable of doing. And this is where you basically map out what exactly you're going to build for them. And then at the end of it, I recommend that you basically add a section that has exclusions. This is what I do anyways. It's really important to make sure that the client is very clear of what you're not going to do, right? So let's say, for example, you're trying to get an AI voice agent built, but they're like, hey, I need to add on this automation. I need you to do this and this for you, right? And we don't want that to happen. We call that scope creep, right? We don't want the scope to all of a sudden creep so long that the project's just going on forever and ever, and we never finish the project, okay? So basically what it is you just go, after the client tells you what they need, you're just going to be like, okay, well, it sounds like you need an AI receptionist. It's going to need CRM integration. It's going to need integration with your calendar. And that's basically what you're going to list here. It's pretty simple. Once you kind of have like a one to get started with like this, then it'd be really easy for you to basically understand what they need. And you can just, what I'm trying to say is once you've written your first one, you kind of know what it should look like. And then you can just use that for all the rest of your clients. That's pretty simple. All right, we went over the exclusions. The next one is number 3, financial terms and usage limits. Now, this is the part where it can get pretty variable. Everybody likes to run their agency a little bit different. This is what I typically use because for me, I prefer maximum minimalism. I prefer maximum efficiency. So it's extremely simple, just a setup fee of $500, and then the payment terms of 50% due on beginning work, and then 50% due after deployment, right? So this goes back to the example I was saying earlier with the cutting the tree. What is a good way for them to trust you to start cutting the tree? And then what is a good way for you to trust them to pay after you're done cutting the tree, right? So you might do something like, hey, please pay me $1,000 now so that I can go ahead and start cutting your tree. And then after I'm done cutting your tree, I'm going to go ahead and ask you for the rest of the $1,000 or however you might do it, right? You might do it like, 75-25, that's up to you. All right. 3.2 is monthly subscription and hosting. This is going to be the retainer, right? If you choose to do a retainer, you can do something like monthly fee of 500. And then you can also say that the subscription billing cycle is going to be every 30 days. And make sure that you also say what exactly you're actually doing for the recurring. For example, most of the time it's going to be paying for the hosting and the maintenance of the agent, ongoing prompt tweaking. So a lot of times they're going to want like ongoing maintenance because things change, and you also we're going to need to update your version of any-den. So all of this is pretty standard. You don't want to build them something and then all of a sudden things change and then it just all of a sudden it breaks. That's not fair to your customer either. Okay. So the next part is pretty important, is minutes, right? How many minutes are you going to provide to them as a default? And also, how are you going to charge them for any overages, right? So one thing that I found works pretty well is just like, again, you can structure this any way you want. This is my example, but I like to do 500 minutes. That's usually enough for most small businesses. And the point of this is you're trying to give them a buffer, right? You don't want it to make it so complicated where every single month they're giving an overage, and it makes them feel like you're charging them extra, but you're not, right? So anyways, 500 minutes, and then any unused minutes do not roll over, because you don't want to have a situation where all of a sudden 1 month they use like 2,000 minutes, because then that's going to obviously give you a really huge bill, right? So that's just to make sure that they're not rolling over minutes. Okay. And then if they do go over, this is the clause that'll help you to basically charge them per minute. So depending on how you set up your agent, it probably costs like 11 cents per minute or maybe 13 cents per minute. So this is just saying that, okay, well, after the included 500 minutes, you're going to be billed at 15 cents per minute. That basically means that they're paying for their costs after that point, right? You can change this to whatever you want. 15 is pretty clean. It'd be kind of, you could say 13, but it's just cleaner to leave it at something like 15. They're not going to cry over 2 cents. All right. And then this is what I was saying earlier, like having a safety cap is pretty important. If you don't want to all of a sudden be paying thousands of dollars just on usage every month, or for a single month. So it's just nice to have the rollover policy here. Next is payment method. Payments will be processed via Stripe. I like to use Stripe personally just to make it super easy to charge the monthly fee and the overages. If they ever go over, you just add something called, I think it's called the invoice item, and it just automatically charges that the next month. So it's pretty easy to do. So actually, you're probably wondering at this point, what even is an overage fee? How do I know how do I know like how many minutes are they spending, and how would I know how much to charge my client if they ended up going over? So I'm gonna actually show you that real quick. All right, open the dashboard. All right. My computer's kind of slow right now. That's fine. So we're going to go ahead and hit Google, and I'm going to go to my my demo one. So I'll choose this one. But basically the point of this is we need to check the actual metrics. So go over here into the left. It's going to be in the Observe tab, hit More, and then click on Metrics. All right. And basically the point of here is now we can go ahead and search our dates. And then we can also filter by assistant, right? So let's go ahead and go over here and select some dates. So I'm going to choose like all the way back here, because I know for a fact that it would be here. So let's see. For you, it would just be 1 month, but I'm going to do it like 2 months. Okay. So, all right, there we go. So here you can just go ahead and select your dates. So you would know like based on the Stripe, what the actual dates are. But in this case, I'm just going to select August 1st, and then 1 month out from there. And basically the point here is, as you can see, it just updated all the information of all of the total minutes, number of calls, total spent, and so on and so forth, right? The only part that we are interested here is going to be the total spent part. And this is pretty nice. It just shows you, how much you spent. And yeah, that's basically what we're looking for, right? So what we're going to do is actually, this is going to be for all assistants. So this is going to be for other people's assistants if you like. Personally, I like to basically create one account per client. That just makes it easier for me to keep them all separate. But if you want to only have one account and then just put like different assistants, you can also just click on the assistants, like specific assistant, and then that will, like, let's say we name this client 1, client 2, client 3, whatever. Then we can just go ahead and click on, let's say, for example, client 1, and it'll go ahead and change the number only for client 1. So as you can see, before it was $2. That's probably because I had other assistants that I did demos on. But let's assume that this is client 1, and when I click on that, it said that client 1 spent a total. Okay, if we click back on that, client 1 spent a total of 44 cents. Right? Obviously, that's not enough minutes. Or actually, first we look at this. It depends on how you like to do it, right? So minutes. Let's say we give them 500 minutes a month. Then obviously that's not going to be, we're not going to charge them any overages because they didn't go over 500, right? But let's say they went ahead and charged, or they did over 500 minutes. Let's say they did 1,000 minutes. 1,000 minus 500 is 500, and then multiply that by 15 cents or whatever it is, and that's going to give you your number that you're going to go ahead and send them on that input. So that's basically how you handle overages. All right, number 4 is timeline. And this is basically just letting them know like when you're actually going to start and when you're going to go live. So this is really important because obviously, it's pretty simple, right? We want to be as explicit as possible so that there's no confusion at all. Okay, we're going to say, okay, well, timeline depends on the client providing necessary access. Usually this just depends on, making sure that they actually send you the information that you need, such as confirmation on the scripts and the CRM within 48 hours request so that you can actually, execute on the timeline. All right, next is going to be compliance, liability, and indemnification. This is basically saying, okay, well, even though AI is pretty good, it's going to get it right about, let's say, like 98% of the time, but we can never guarantee that it's going to be right every single time. And this is just saying, okay, well, sometimes AI is not perfect. Things happen. We are not liable for any issues that happen. That's just something that they're going to have to be. This is a risk that we have to be aware of, and that's going to be something that we're going to have to test very thoroughly in our test suite. But unfortunately, you can never get rid of that. It's just something that we have to accept. All right. Next one is legal compliance. This is basically saying, okay, well, we're going to do our best to help the client understand the laws and regulations as far as we know, but we're not going to basically assume any liability, and we're not going to we're not going to let them sue us for any negligence on their part, right? So this is basically saying, okay, the client represents and warrants that they have obtained all necessary legal consents to contact the phone numbers provided to the AI agent. So the thing is, there are a lot of regulations, especially in the United States, about calling people that don't want to be called, right? I think there's something called like a do not call list. And if they're on that list and you call them, you can literally get fined like a couple $1,000s. So that's pretty devastating to any business. And this is basically saying, okay, well, we want the clients to know that they're only contacting people that they know that they should be contacting. Okay. And they're saying, okay, well, even though we're building the AI agent for them and they say that they want the AI agent to call somebody, we're not going to be liable for that. We're going to make them assume the responsibility for that. That's basically this. This is legal talk. I'm not going to get too much into it. All right, the next few are pretty straightforward, so I'm not going to waste too much time going over it. So acceptable use, we reserve the right to terminate services if they're doing it for illegal things, harassment, scams, straightforward. Intellectual property, this is basically saying, okay, the client's data is theirs, but we're going to retain ownership of things like workflows and proprietary automation templates. This is like, okay, well, this is our information, that's your information, and let's keep it clean. All right, termination, this is basically saying, okay, well, either party can terminate the subscription within 30 days of written notice. And then upon termination, we will make sure that we give all your data to you and that we're not retaining data any longer than that we need to. Finally, number 8, this is governing law and dispute resolution. So let's say, for example, like for whatever reason, like your client made a mistake. They used like 2,000 minutes in 1 month and they're like, okay, well, I don't want to pay for it. We're just going to cut off all ties right now. If they do something like that, you can actually sue them and also recover the attorney fees and the court costs from the losing party. So you're not paying for any of the lawyers or the court costs, and you're getting your money back from suing them. So, but that's probably not going to happen. This is mostly just to protect you. Like I said earlier, in the case that this does happen, just to protect you from the risk. And also it just shows that you're a serious person and that they're going to take you more seriously and they're not going to do that to you because this is there. All right, finally, acceptance. By signing below, the parties agree to the terms above. Obviously, this is going to make it legally binding, and this is where you're going to put your signature, date. And so for something like this, you might want to use like DocuSign or Panda Docs. I personally prefer Panda Docs. It's more beginner friendly, and I think it's completely free on the free plan actually. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I guess I may as well go ahead and show you that. So I'm gonna go ahead and log into. So go ahead and open Panda Docs. Go over this, and then go ahead and get started. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start up with a new account. So let's use this one right here. So it's going to ask you to put in some of your business information. That's completely fine. So just your name. All right. So actually, while this is loading, what we can do is I'm going to basically go over here and I'm going to download this as a PDF and I'm going to upload it over to my school community here so that you can go ahead and download the PDF because we're going to need a PDF version in order to put it into Panda Docs. So that's how we're going to do it. So, all right, here we go. So now that we're here, we're going to go ahead and add a document. So we're going to go over here, click the plus, and then go ahead and drag and drop the file over here. So select the file. All right. And so go ahead and upload that. Does take a while to load, but that's fine. All right. And then now we're going to add our recipients. So this is basically where you're going to add your client's email, first name, and last name. And it's going to send them that invitation so that once you basically finish designing, I guess, the contract, then we're just going to go ahead and send that to them. So how can I skip this but you would basically just put the information and that's how you would send it to them. I'm going to skip this for now. All right. Let's go. That's cool. All right. So basically it's just going to load it up and all that we need to do is, so for this, you just say no thanks. It usually gets that wrong anyway. So let's not worry about that. We're going to go down to the blanks that we had earlier. And this is where we drop stuff in. So, yeah, so this is what we need. So this is for you, right? So for the you one, we're going to select you and we're going to drop the signature over to the provider, right? Because we are the provider and they're the client, right? So drop the signature just like that onto the signature. And then the date is going to be date. It's pretty straightforward. All right. Date right here. That looks fine. And then for the client, this is when you're going to hit create new recipients. And then, once you enter in their email and so on and so forth, you'll be able to select the client, and then repeat exactly what I did here, but when the client is selected. So since I'm just doing a demonstration, we'll just assume that we've clicked on the client, and then you just do exactly what I just said earlier. Just go ahead and put these two. Okay. But since we don't, I'm just going to make it clean. All right. And basically what will happen is we're going to go ahead and click on here and here, click accept and sign. As you can see, nice and beautiful. And then go ahead and select today's date and then just go ahead and hit finish document. And that's going to send it over to the person. Okay. All right. And once everybody's done signing, it's going to say it's a wrap. This document has been completed by all participants, and you just hit download to download and keep it for your files. It just means that it's now legally binding. So that's pretty simple. And now all you need to do is basically get the PDF. Like I said earlier, I'm going to post it here. And obviously, if you guys don't already know this, the ways that you find it is basically go to any video. Just go ahead and copy the YouTube title here, and then just bring it back over to here, and then just paste it in. And then it's going to bring up the post that I made, and you just go ahead and click on the file, and you just go ahead and download. That's how you get it. And obviously, guys, this is the number one. Basically, I teach you guys how to do it from the start. But if you have any questions, go ahead and basically ask me here, and I answer every single question every single day. Just make sure that you guys are, not getting stuck anywhere, constantly making progress every single day. And that's basically the commitment that I make to all my students. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And in my next video, I'm gonna show you how to do some pretty cool stuff with Google Gemini 3 Pro. How to make some really cool software as service, if that's something that you're trying to do. So, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one. Here's how to build an AI SaaS in just minutes using Gemini 3 Pro. First, we're going to run the prompts in Gemini 3 Pro, and that's already going to give us a working product to start out with. After that, we're going to deploy the app so that people can go ahead and test it, and that only requires one click or so. Finally, we need to create some content so that people actually know what we're building so that they can go ahead and test it out and tell us their feedback, what we can improve next time we work on it. And why is this so important? Well, it's important because we can get started with just $0, so there's absolutely no excuse to not learn this skill. After that, there's extremely high potential because with the traditional AI voice agents, you can probably only manage 10 clients or so before you get basically outscaled, right? But with AI software as a service, you can potentially reach millions of people. And since it's so scalable, literally like, there's pretty much no difference between you being able to serve 10,000 people as opposed to 1 million people with AI software as a service. So obviously extremely high value potential and also obviously earning potential there. And number 3, this is actually my favorite and the one that I think is the most important. It's going to teach you all the skills that you need to be a successful entrepreneur, right? It's going to teach you how to basically identify a need and then build a solution to fix that problem. And then also connect the people who need this solution with the actual thing that you build. So this is absolutely important. And I recommend that everybody learn this skill in 2026. So step 1, go to aistudio.google.com and we're going to click on Vibe Code Gen AI apps. Now, real quick, if you're not familiar with the vibe coding, what that means is imagine you're a CEO and right next to you, you have a $100,000 a year software developer right by your side and you can tell them to do whatever you want and they're going to say, yes, I'm going to do it right now. And that's basically what Gemini 3 Pro is right now. So let's go ahead and click on Vibe Code Gen AI apps. Here, you can go ahead and describe your idea, but I recommend that you actually don't try to basically reinvent the wheel. I recommend that you use something called Discover and Remix app ideas because Google has already built a bunch of different projects for you to build off of, and you can even monetize these if you want to. So let's go ahead and click on Browse the App Gallery. Here, you're going to see a bunch of different projects. And up here, there's a bunch of different categories. I recommend that if you get some time, just go ahead, check out each of these products one by one and just see if you can provide any value to the world by using any of these, right? And so the one that I would recommend right off the bat is these beautiful landing pages, right? As you can see, you can create nice, like I like this one a lot, is just a nice websites in just 1 minute with just a couple English words, right? And so like, let's say for me, for example, I used to have, my relatives used to own a Chinese restaurant. So if they were still running that, I'd just be like, hey, aunt, I can build you a website and I'm going to do it for you for absolutely free. And she's obviously going to say, yeah, that'd be lovely, right? And so I would set that up for her. Obviously, that would be another addition to my portfolio. So the next time when I see a business owner, I can be like, hey, I'm going to build you this for you for just $1,000. Now, keep in mind, most web developers, they charge like $3,000, $4,000 for a website. If you're able to vibe code it in 1 minute for $1,000, they'd be happy to work with you, okay? So that's just one example. Now, the one that I'm more interested in is this one called Gen Media. Since obviously, so VO is like a video AI that's going to create a lot of different like content creation. Like if you're in the business of creating ads or something like that, you can go ahead and check these out. Now, for me, since I'm an expert with AI voice agents, I'm going to be using conversational agents. And the one that we're using today is going to be Audio Orb, because the point of this is we're trying to create a product that can utilize AI voice agents in order to solve some problem, right? So let's go ahead and jump into this real quick. And so here we can go ahead and see it loading up. You can go ahead and test it out by just hitting allow, and you can go ahead and test it out here. It's basically like an AI, but it moves. Okay, I'll just test it real quick. But hey, what's up? And it's just going to respond. I'm not going to waste time with that. But basically, you can go ahead and go over here, and this is where you can prompt the project, and you can do things like, okay, well, improved error handling, or improved recording indicator, or change the background, things like that, right? So you can go ahead and start with a really nice working product, and then go ahead and build on it from there. And so what I want to go talk about now is like, if we were to just use this, obviously it's not going to have any competition. It's not going to have any edge over the competition, right? You can easily go to ChatGPT and they offer a really nice AI voice agent for you to talk to. Now, the point where this becomes important is, so just some fun fact, I'm learning Vietnamese just for fun. I already speak like 4 different languages, but I just love learning languages. So I was trying to learn Vietnamese and I was looking for a tool to help me learn it faster. The problem is there are not very many good tools out there. Like you can go ahead and try to speak Vietnamese with ChatGPT. It's not going to do a great job. And so what I realized is, okay, well, if I can use this and if I can adjust the AI prompts to make it act like a Vietnamese tutor, and then later on, like if I were to give it to a bunch of test users and they'd be like, hey, could you add this feature for me? Could you change the background? Could you do this and blah blah blah, right? And if I was able to do that, I can basically create a really nice product that is basically better than anything else on the market out there right now. And basically what that means is it's a really high potential idea. If you know anything about business, you probably can already tell it's easily a business idea worth millions of dollars. But obviously it requires a lot of execution in between, but we'll get into that later. The point is, okay, well, we have an AI voice in here. All we need to do is we need to adjust it to be able to be a little bit better for the purpose of teaching a language such as Vietnamese. Now, why did I choose Vietnamese? Obviously, it's just what I'm learning, but also Vietnamese turns out to be a really good example of a language that's not so saturated. Like if you were to do something like a Chinese tutor or something like that, it probably wouldn't work, right? Because there's just too much competition. But in the case of Vietnamese, at least for the research that I did, there were no good competitors out there, right? So if I were to build this, I know pretty much for a fact that it would get a lot of traction because obviously now with how Vietnam is developing, there's a lot of demand of especially Westerners, especially Americans going over to Vietnam. So there's a lot of demand for it, and there's not a lot of supply. Like I said earlier, there were no good competitors. Anyways, enough business Q&A. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I've already written a prompt. I'm just going to show you real quick. Let's go ahead and paste it in real quick. The prompt says, to make this suitable for learner Vietnamese, the things that we need to do to add are, number one, speech to text for both the AI and the user's last response. So why did I do this? Well, the thing is, as I was testing it out for the purpose of learning Vietnamese, I found that it's better if I was able to actually see the content on the screen as it was being said, right? Because a lot of times the AI would say something I wouldn't know what it's saying. So then it's much better if it has the words appear on the screen. Number two, answer suggestions to the AI's last response. So a lot of times, since my vocabulary when I'm first starting out it's not very good, right? I don't know what to say. So then I realized, okay, well, if I can just have AI tell me what I might want to say, then that would make it a lot easier for me to learn new vocabulary, right? So to me, that seemed like a very kind of no-brainer and a very helpful thing to add. And finally, click to translate. Clicking on any Vietnamese text should toggle the English translation below it. Only keep the most recent conversation turned on the screen to prevent the chat from overflowing the screen. Instead of forcing me to click to translate every time, automatically translate the AI's response to English. Okay, so the point of that is basically a lot of times it's going to say something where I don't know what it means. So if whenever I click translate on a word, I want it to translate to English so that I know exactly basically how to learn or what that word means. All right, so it looks absolutely beautiful. It looks like it added a toolbar here that says Vietnamese Tutor, and I'm guessing this is going to be where it's going ahead and it's basically storing the chat history. Down here, it has buttons to go ahead and get started, a revert button, record button, and a stop button. And it says connected, start speaking to learn. So let's go ahead and test it out. Chào bạn, bạn đang làm gì á?
Chào bạn, mình đang sẵn sàng trò chuyện và hỗ trợ bạn. Hôm nay bạn muốn học hay thực hành tiếng Việt như thế nào?
Yeah, cảm ơn bạn. So let's go ahead and turn it off real quick while we analyze it. It looks like it went ahead and gave us the chat history. Like I said, what will be important for us to basically understand what he said, because it was a little bit fast, so I couldn't catch exactly what he said. And then it looks like it just took a couple seconds to translate it. So, which is great because that's kind of what I had in mind is it would basically give me the information in Vietnamese so that I can go ahead and see if I understand it. And then after that, give me a couple seconds where it translates it automatically so that I can basically, if it is a word that I don't understand, I can just translate it to English, and so I can learn new vocabulary. And then so that crosses off that requirement there. And then at the bottom here, it looks like it's going to go ahead and give me 3 different answer suggestions to how to answer this question. So basically what I did was in the AI prompt, I went ahead and changed the AI prompt so that I can say, okay, well, at the end of every sentence, make sure to ask me a question. Okay. And the reason why I did that is so that I can force it to ask me a question. And then here I can force it to give me answer suggestions, right? And this is a really good way to just keep that conversation rolling so that the conversation will never stall and die. So that's absolutely beautiful. As you can see, each of these are very different. It's not like it's saying the same thing over and over again. It gives a lot of variation, and it looks like it would be very, very fun to kind of just go ahead and continue talking to this project over and over again. Okay, so that's absolutely beautiful. It did exactly what I wanted it to do, and so that's what I'm trying to say. This whole Gemini 3 Pro thing is absolutely amazing and beautiful. All right, and so again, over here, we also have the option to add additional effects. So at any point in time, you can just go back in here and add another prompt and basically continue building off what is working, right? So here, let's say if you wanted to add a different personality, I guess, or like maybe change the background, you can go ahead and just say it using plain English here, and it'll be able to do that in just a few minutes. So anyways, that looks like we just successfully finished number 1, which is run the prompt based off of the audio orb project that Google has already provided for us, which is absolutely amazing. And then, so all we need to do is number 2, which is go ahead and deploy. So you just go ahead and hit deploy app here, and it's going to deploy that into, just go ahead and create a new project and deploy it there. And that's going to give you a public URL. And then that's going to be basically what you test it yourself, obviously, and then also give it to your friends or give it to, just put it online so that people can go ahead and visit it. And that's going to be number 2. And then I'm not going to get too much in the detail into it because it is kind of a little detail, but just creating content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and then just, try to make it as interesting as you can, try to get people to test it out. And basically from their feedback, that's how you're going to know how to improve it for next time. Just make it the best product that you can. And that's going to be basically how you create a really nice product. So that is basically how you build an AI SaaS in 5 minutes or so using Gemini 3 Pro. It's super easy to do. Now, if you have any questions about AI, AI prompting, AI voice agents, anything like that, go ahead and feel free to ask me any questions that you have in the comments below, and I'll be very happy to help you out. Also, if you want like more guided teaching, just go to my school community. You can ask me whatever question that you want. I teach you everything about AI and AI voice agents and AI prompting and Gemini, all of that, right? You can ask me any question you want. You can ask me about, your business, if you want consulting for your business, whatever. I'll do my best to help you out. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and have a good one.